Adrian looked at Chromes. "I'd like to know how you gave me my hand back." Before Chromes could respond, Meskro pounded his chest and let out a low roar, sudden and resonant. Everyone stopped. Chromes and Meskro instinctively moved to shield Adrian and Sebastian, flanked instantly by Zenith and Vortex. The air grew heavy with alertness as all eyes scanned the horizon. "What's going on?" Chromes asked his brother. "I opened my eyes, and the light was gone," Meskro said, his voice low and tense. "Everything's lost its shine, like the sky turned black." "Everything is dark," he repeated, firmer now. Adrian and Sebastian exchanged a puzzled glance, both unsure of what troubled Meskro. Adrian slowly raised a hand, his index finger pointing toward the sky. "Do you mean the sunlight?" he asked softly. "Don't worry, it's just nightfall." The stars blinked into view above them, brilliant and scattered across a velvet sky. Meskro's breathing began to slow. Chromes relaxed his stance. Vortex, standing just behind Zenith, lowered his arms but remained on alert a few moments longer than the rest. Adrian turned to Chromes. "Is it true your planet always faces the sun? How does that even work?" Chromes nodded, his gaze still fixed on the stars. "Our planet is tilted in such a way that one hemisphere always faces the sun. Where I come from, the sun never moves. It stays frozen in the same spot in the sky. We never experience darkness." Adrian looked up, letting the night wash over him. He crossed his arms, as if grounding himself in the moment. "That's hard to imagine," he said quietly. "But it makes sense. We've never experienced darkness," Chromes added. "The dark side of the planet is an uninhabitable wasteland. We don't go near it." Adrian gave a small, understanding smile. "On our world, night is a part of life. We rest, recharge, dream. It's not something to fear. It's something we need." He paused, then looked at the group. "And for what it's worth, thank you, all of you, for stepping in without hesitation." Sebastian nodded beside him. "Yeah, seriously, thank you." The group nodded together. The bond between them, though new, was beginning to solidify. The world was now bathed in darkness. Above them, stars shimmered quietly in the vast sky. One by one, the others began to relax, realizing there was no immediate danger. Meskro's heavy breathing slowed. Chromes eased his stance, his gaze still scanning the shadows. Vortex walked a step behind the others, not out of deference, but because it let him see all their backs, measure their pace, hear the strain in their breaths. He would never admit it, not even to himself, but he counted those things, watched for signs of weakness, not to judge, but to act. Better to be the one who acts and steps away. Emotions complicated clean outcomes, and if he kept his distance, maybe no one would notice how much he cared. "Before anything else happens," Adrian said, turning to Chromes, "can you tell me exactly how you brought my hand back?" Chromes tilted his head slightly. "Before the meteorite impact, our civilization had reached advanced scientific milestones. One of them was the implantation of intelligent nanoorganisms, engineered to destroy pathogens and regenerate damaged tissue. When I cut my finger," he continued, "dozens of those organisms entered your bloodstream. They rebuilt your hand and repaired Sebastian's leg. They carry vast energy stores and can manipulate matter on a cellular level." Sebastian's eyes widened. "I thought it was something divine," he murmured, still stunned. Chromes shook his head. "No, just science. We'd already mapped your species' genetics. You were compatible. And now, those organisms are part of you. They'll continue to heal you." Adrian blinked, his voice hushed. "So, are we immortal?" Meskro looked at him, then at his hand, before answering in his gravelly voice. "They brought your hand back because it could be brought back. But your heart, lungs, brain, if those fail, they won't save you." He let the silence linger before finishing. "They can fix flesh, but they can't give life." Adrian nodded slowly, absorbing the weight of it. "Still, it's incredible, thank you." Meskro tilted his head toward the sky. "Those lights," he said softly, almost to himself. "They're beautiful. Is it always like this?" He paused, his breath visible in the chill. "The air feels thinner, slower, like the world is exhaling." "Most nights, yes," Vortex replied from behind, his voice quiet, almost reluctant to admit the wonder. On our world, night is a time for recalibration, a pause, for reviewing decisions, past and future. The group fell silent, staring up. For Meskro and Chromes, it was their first time truly seeing the night. Even the others seemed to be rediscovering the sky, as if the stars had brightened just for them. Meskro stood watch, his massive form outlined by the cold gleam of the stars. He never let his guard drop, not anymore. Once, long ago, he hadn't seen the danger coming, hadn't paid attention to the way the wind shifted, or how the animals had gone silent. He'd thought they were safe. By the time he realized otherwise, it was too late. The fire had already swallowed his home, and his parents with it. Now, every time he stood guard, it wasn't just for the mission. It was for them. It was to make sure he never missed the signs again. Adrian looked up, the constellations reflecting in his eyes, and for a fleeting moment, he wondered if Dane could see them again. The thought tightened in his chest like a quiet promise. They would bring him back. He kept walking, the stars shifting slowly overhead, each step crunching beneath his feet. His power hummed faintly beneath his skin, always ready, always waiting. He could lift boulders and tear trees from the ground if needed, but he hadn't been able to help Dane. Knowing that power wasn't the same as protection didn't silence the ache. Not when the ones who mattered most kept slipping through his reach. Adrian exhaled softly, eyes still on the sky, and let his fingers brush against the air as if trying to catch something that wasn't there. After nearly 2 hours beneath the canopy of stars, Adrian slowed. "The path ends up ahead," he said, pointing. "It just stops." Everyone halted. A quiet unease passed through the group. "What now?" Zenith asked, her voice steady but uncertain. "I don't know," Sebastian admitted. "Newman said this path would lead to the thread. This wasn't supposed to happen." Meskro stepped forward, muscles tense, eyes narrowed. "Then we keep walking," he said. "If the way ends, we find what's beyond it." The others followed, letting Meskro lead. But just before he reached the end of the trail, he slammed into something invisible and unmoving. He didn't stagger, but his shoulders tensed. "There's something here," he said. Zenith stepped forward, scanning the space. "What is it? I don't see anything." "Me neither," said Sebastian, glancing around. The others murmured in agreement. "You won't see it," Chromes said, already focused. "But you can feel it. Cold, smooth, like glass." Meskro rolled his shoulders. "If it's a wall," he rumbled, "I'll break it." The group stepped back as Meskro took a few powerful strides and charged the invisible surface. The sound of impact was immense, like stone fracturing. But the barrier didn't budge. Undeterred, Meskro tried again. Same force, same result. "Stop," Vortex said, stepping forward with calm authority. "If it survived that, it's not meant to be broken." He extended a hand toward the barrier, methodically tracing its shape. Up, down, left, right. His expression was pure calculation. "Find anything?" Sebastian asked. "I'm not sure," Vortex said, his tone clinical. "There's a variation here, a threshold maybe, but it's not mechanical." He pressed his index finger to the surface. Slowly, the tip disappeared, then part of his hand. He pulled back, and it reappeared without harm. "How did you do that?" Meskro asked, intrigued. "It's about intent," Vortex replied. "Don't fight it. Don't think in terms of mass or resistance. Just commit to crossing." Chromes stayed back a moment longer, staring at the place where Vortex's hand had vanished. The data didn't make sense. No formula bent reality to will, and yet Vortex had done it. For the first time in a long while, he felt it. Doubt. Not in the others, but in himself. What use was precision if the universe no longer obeyed it? What was the purpose of his logic if it could no longer help the group? He reached out toward the invisible wall, his hand trembling slightly, and let the question go. Maybe not everything had to be solved. Maybe some things had to be believed. "And how do we know what's on the other side?" Sebastian asked. "We don't," Meskro said plainly. "But the path didn't end, it just changed." "I'll go," Vortex said, glancing at Adrian and Sebastian. "Will you follow?" Sebastian gave a quick nod. "Yeah, let me try first." He approached and placed a hand on the surface. Concentrated. Nothing. He sighed and looked at Vortex, who said nothing, just watched. One by one, the others tried. Nothing happened. Even Zenith couldn't pass. "We can't do it," Adrian said. "We're missing something." "Then I'll go alone," Vortex said. "If there's a way to pull you through, I'll find it." Zenith stepped toward him and took his hand. "Be careful and come back." He turned, eyes forward, and walked into the invisible wall. His hand disappeared, then his arm, then his whole body. For a moment, no one breathed. "What if—" Adrian began, but didn't finish. Sebastian's voice was hushed. "What if he doesn't come out?" Zenith took a slow step toward the wall, her expression unreadable. "He will." But even she didn't sound entirely sure. "Come back soon," she whispered. A moment later, Vortex's voice echoed faintly from beyond. "I made it. Focus. Don't resist." Adrian hesitated. I can't." "Take my hand," Vortex said, calm and certain. An arm extended through the barrier. Adrian took it, eyes shut, breathed, focused. His body began to vanish into the surface until he was gone. From the other side, Adrian's voice called back. "It works. Focus on your intention. Want it." "I'll go last," Sebastian said as the others prepared to cross. His voice was steady, unchallenged. No one questioned it. One by one, the others followed, Meskro with a nod of resolve. Chromes with a breath held tight. Zenith last, steady and silent. As she emerged on the other side, she stumbled slightly from the disorientation. Vortex was there, already watching. He reached out and placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. Just enough. No words. Sebastian remained alone. He lingered at the threshold. In his hand, he held the medallion they'd given him in the forces, engraved with the words, "To the leader who lights the way." It was meant to honor his command, his conviction, his ability to make others move. But now, in the hush that followed their departure, a question pressed in. Would they still follow him if he didn't have the power? Was it him they believed in, or the force he wielded? He turned the medallion over once, studying the words as they caught the faint starlight. The doubt in his eyes lingered, unhidden. Then, with a slow breath and no one left to see, he stepped forward and vanished into the void.